Hello and welcome to the second tutorial session on analysis on software development frameworks. Through this tutorial session, the knowledge you are having on software frameworks will be increased furthermore. First, let us refresh our mind on what we learned earlier. In the first tutorial session, I described software frameworks as an abstraction in which common code providing generic functionality can be selectively overridden or is specialized by user code providing specific functionality and reusable design for a software system. From my perspective, a framework does several things. It makes easier to work with complex technologies. It ties together a bunch of discrete objects into something more useful. It forces the team to implement code in a way that promotes consistent coding, fewer bugs, and more flexible applications. Everyone can easily text and debug the code, even code that they didn't write. If I look at a list of framework requirements, I come up with a set of specific clarifications that define a framework. First one is a wrapper. It simplifies an interface to a technology. It reduces repetitive tasks. It increases application flexibility through abstraction and often reusable regardless of high-level design considerations. Secondly, we can use it as an architecture which manages a collection of discrete objects. It implements a set of specific design elements. Finally, as a methodology which enforces the adherence to a consistent designing approach. It decouples object dependencies and often reusable regardless application requirements. In this tutorial session, let me explain more details on these frameworks. They are Microsoft.NET Framework, Java Platform, Ruby on Rails. Moving on to the Microsoft.NET Framework, you can see that it is developed by Microsoft. It supports Windows NT 4.0, Windows 98 and above operating systems. The Microsoft.NET Framework is a software framework that is available with several Microsoft Windows operating systems. It includes a large library of coded solutions to prevent common programming problems in a virtual machine that manages the execution of programs written specifically for the framework. It is the key Microsoft offering and is intended to be used by most applications created for the Windows platform. Also, part of .NET Framework, the runtime environment is known as the Common Language Runtime, CLR. CLR provides the appearance of an application virtual machine, so that programmers need not consider the capabilities of the specific CPU that will execute the program. Let us talk about the .NET architecture. First one is the Common Language Infrastructure, CLI. The core aspects of the .NET Framework lie within the Common Language Infrastructure or CLI. The purpose of the CLI is to provide a language-neutral platform for application development and execution, including functions for exception handling, garbage collection, security and interoperability. Second one is the assemblies. The intermediate code is addressed in .NET assemblies. As mandated by specification, assemblies are stored in the portable executable format, common on the Windows platform for all DLL and exe files. Metadata is usually generated by language compilers, but developers can create their own metadata through customer attributes. Metadata contains information about the assembly and is also used to implement the reflective programming capabilities of .NET Framework. .NET has its own security mechanisms with two general features. They are code access security and validation and verification. First one is the code access security, CAS. Code access security is based on evidence that is associated with a specific assembly. It uses evidence to determine the permission granted to the code. Next one is the validation and verification. During validation, the CLR checks that the assembly contains valid metadata and CIL and whether internal tables are correct. Verification is not exact. It checks to see if the code does anything that is unsafe. Now, let us go through some of the designing features of the .NET Framework. First one is the interoperability. Because interaction between new and older applications is commonly required, the .NET Framework provides means to access functionality that is implemented in programs that execute outside the .NET environment. Second one is the runtime engine. All .NET programs execute under the supervision of the CLR, guaranteeing certain properties and behaviors in the areas of memory management, security, and exception handling. Third designing feature is the base class library, BCL. It provides classes which encapsulate a number of common functions, including file reading and writing, graphic rendering, database interaction, and XML document manipulation. Other one is the simplified deployment. .NET Framework does not interfere with previously installed software because including design features and tools that help manage the installation of computer software. These are some of the criticisms that have come up regarding the .NET Framework.